Well, the cold air that everyone's been talking about for a rather long time across social media is finally here, and it is going to bring a wallop of cold wind chills and even some lake effect snow to the Great Lakes region. The time is 11:36 a.m. and it is January 18th. Welcome to another update from Great Lakes Weather ahead of this event, which is beginning today, January 18th through 24th. You can see it right here on the screen from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The last time we had a prolonged cold air event like this was back in 2019. So it's been a rather long time since we've had something like this occur. I'm sure many of you remember how cold the air was back at that time frame. But that is what is coming to the Great Lakes region. Places Michigan, Indiana, Ohio, Wisconsin, Illinois, all of these places that you can see those shades of purples, those shades of pinks, those are going to see some very cold to sub-zero wind chills. And you can see that for Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, much of this area is going to be dealing with wind chills between the negative 10s and negative 25s. So again, that's very cold air. It can cause frostbite in a very short amount of time. You can see some of the safety information that they have here with regards to this cold. It will be over at least 2 days, we will see this kind of cold. We have the Arctic air moving in right now from the northwest. Cold front just went through. On the back side of it, as that Arctic air begins to filter in, we're going to start to see it start to settle over the Great Lakes region. And with colder air aloft, that's where we're also going to see an uptick in lake effect snow. Some of it is already falling in the Upper Peninsula, which, by the way, Upper Peninsula here, you're getting forecasted by NOAA that you could see wind chills close to negative 40. So that's very cold air. I think frostbite could occur in like 15 minutes during that time frame. So make sure to be careful in this kind of weather. It is not really good weather that you should be in without having some sort of layering to protect you from this type of cold. So it's a good thing to keep in mind. But cold weather safety, make sure to check out your pipes outside, especially if you live in the southern end of the area. Look at Florida. Florida's going to have wind chills that are getting close to 10 above, maybe even close to 0, closer to the Panhandle area. So Arctic wallop coming across the entire United States pretty much. Very cold air. And we might even see some snow in the southern portion of the United States. So if you have friends living in the Dixie Valley, tell them, yeah, surprise, snow is actually coming to your area. It's looking possible, especially as we approach closer to that time frame. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's get to what we're expecting in terms of temperatures. Okay, so this is the Euro model. Again, this is the Euro model updated for 6Z. So let's go forward with this and see how things are going to unfold. Okay, this is Sunday morning. You can see the temperature. This is the air temperature we're looking at across the United States. You can see that it's getting all the way down to the 20s as you get down into Texas. You can kind of see where the cold front is set up as we get into that time frame on Sunday. Progressing forward, you can see, though, the Arctic air continues to filter in. And by Monday morning, you can see the air temperatures. This is air temperatures. This is not the wind chills. Even with the lake influence, are getting into the sub-zero range. Now, in southwest Michigan, you're likely going to be a little bit warmer, and I do believe that's going to be due to the lake effect cloud cover and the lake effect snow that will be ongoing, and we'll talk about how much you're going to see there in just a minute. But places that are not going to see as much lake effect snow, where there's more open air aloft, where there's not really much cloud cover, might get down colder than this. And you can see the air temperature even in the Upper Peninsula is getting down into the negative teens. So you can see that this is going to be a widespread cold air across much of the Great Lakes region. So going to want to bundle up, going to want to make sure your cars are warmed up as you go out in these conditions. So progressing forward, you can see that the Arctic air kind of remains over our area, and by Tuesday morning comes around, you can see it's even colder than was shown for Monday. So you can see the air temperatures are getting into the negative teens, even in portions of northern Michigan. I think that lake effect will still probably influence it in southwest Michigan to give it a little bit of warmth, but still, you can see that this is continuing to progress eastward, and the cold air is going to be sub-freezing all the way down towards the Florida Panhandle, which would be quite surprising given the fact that the Gulf and the Atlantic regions out there are warmer than average. So there's even the projection for the potential for some snow across New Orleans, Louisiana. So far-reaching and rather impressive. I mean, there's been people that are saying, we haven't had a Michigan winter in so long, and this is what you get. Sorry. But to continue, you can see that cold air kind of takes a little bit of a break as we get into the middle or the end of next week. We'll be back in the 20s, and I think we're probably going to stay around that range for a little bit. We might see a little bit of a cooling trend return once again near the end of January. That's to be determined as of right now, but right now you can see that it's going to be prolonged cool air, sub-freezing, which means any snow that falls will stick around for a good long while. Welcome to the much-awaited Michigan winter. I am planning on chasing sometime this week. I'm not sure exactly when, but I'm not going to be chasing during the sub-zero bitter cold because that's just not smart, and I don't want to cause anyone trouble. But we may go check out the lakeshore at some point this week because I think we're going to have some nice ice accumulating on those lighthouses, and it'll be worth seeing. Progressing forward, let's go to a more regional view. This is the wind chill now, so you can see the actual wind chill values rather than the actual air temperature. But progressing forward, let's go into Sunday morning. This is Sunday 7 a.m. You can see that wind chills are already reaching the sub-zero range across portions of northern Michigan and the Upper Peninsula and getting into the negative 20s already. So again, that Arctic air is slowly filtering in, and as the time we get into the nightfall and Monday morning, you can see that we're in the negative teens to negative 20s already by Monday morning. That is very cold air. Likely going to see some schools shut down because of this, mainly because of the bus stops. So that will have an impact for much of the area. I'm probably going to see a lot of cold days, maybe even a couple snow days thrown in there with this. And then as we get into Tuesday morning, you can see some places where that lake effect snow is sort of ongoing may have a better shot at seeing some calmer wind chills, but wind chills will be back again in the negative teens to negative 20s, even into the negative 40s, and close to negative 50 even, some places across the Upper Peninsula, as being shown by the latest Euro model. Now this will change a little bit. We are getting close to the event, so we actually are a little more confident in how cold it is going to get, but you can see Arctic air makes a comeback about 6 years after the previous Arctic outbreak that occurred before. So you can see that even Wednesday morning, we're still going to be dealing with those very cold wind chills Wednesday morning, and this appears to be some of the colder wind chills for lower Michigan and portions of Ohio. But on the backside, you can see, hey, things are starting to warm up just a little bit as we get into the Midwest. That's because a warmer air mass will eventually be moving in and kind of making our temperatures a little bit more bearable. Still in the single digits, you can see the wind chills as we get into the end of the week. So you can see that cold air is still going to be dominant across the Great Lakes region throughout pretty much all of next week. So I'm going to have to bear with that. Bundle up. Make sure to find ways to stay warm. Keep some warm stuff in your car if you have to go out and about in these kinds of conditions, especially since we're not only going to be dealing with the cold, but we're also going to be dealing with snow. First off, you've been seeing this system, kind of talked about it a little bit. This is the system that is ahead of that cold front that's bringing the Arctic air in. So as that progresses through, you're going to see that sort of lift off, and on the backside, you've got that polar air that's coming in on the backside, and right there you can see, right on the tail end, in portions of western Michigan, northern Michigan, and the Upper Peninsula, which is already seeing snow, the lake effect snow machine ramps up. It's also across portions of Lake Erie. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that also in northeast Ohio to see a little bit of snow. But as it goes forward, you can see that it's going to continue into Monday, into Tuesday, and possibly even a little bit into Wednesday, but it'll start to wind down there. And one thing that's really heavily talked about right now is, along with this Arctic air, on the bottom side of this polar air mass that's coming through, you see this. Look at that. That is the Florida Panhandle seeing the potential for even some snow, surprisingly. You can see the interior growth zone is 17,000 feet, but you can see that the air temperatures at the Panhandle are going to be in the 20s. So it could possibly be the case where even portions of Florida will be seeing snow. And I don't know the last time they've seen this much snow, but there's potential for snow accumulations, especially also in New Orleans, that could exceed 4 inches of snow. So places that usually don't get it this time of year, usually never get it, are going to be like, what is going on in today's weather? So it's pretty surprising. But as it goes through, it's going to move out, and you still see that cold air going to kind of be dominating much of the Great Lakes throughout the whole course of the week. Let's focus on the short range and talk about snow accumulations at this point. So what we have here is the HRRR model, high resolution rapid refresh, kind of gives us an idea of what's happening. But as we progress forward, you can see lake effect snow continues to be ongoing as that polar air mass makes its way through in the Upper Peninsula, even into tonight. As we get into tomorrow, the lake effect snow machine begins to energize itself some across portions of western Michigan. You can see that there's a little bit of a tail kind of forming off of Lake Michigan there. You can see it kind of gets a little bit of a heavier band on it. This is as we get into Monday morning. Dendritic growth zone's about 3,000 feet. You can see that temperature difference as we start to go higher in the atmosphere, and then the air dries out as we get up here, indicating that, well, this is kind of a lake effect snow setup. Again, the dew points and the temperature are usually, when they're usually tighter, they're not really, there's a little bit of a gap in between, which might indicate the snow making it a little bit lighter. But if it gets fully saturated, that's when we'll start to see a little bit more heavier lake effect snow potential. And I think that will be the case as we get into Monday. You can see that it gets a little bit more energized. Actually, this is still Sunday afternoon, so correction there. But this is Sunday afternoon. And then as we get into Monday, you can see those bands pretty clearly well defined now on the lake. Let's get a little bit of sounding there. You can see that the temperature gradient is really sharp as we go. It's at 12 degrees at the surface, and then it goes all the way down to near a little over negative 20 degrees Celsius as we get further up the atmosphere, about 2.5 kilometers in the atmosphere. Dendritic growth zone is at 500 feet, which means that's the place where snow crystals can form, and it's just 500 feet above the ground. So that's pretty low to the ground for some snow to start to form with this system. But that's kind of going to be the case for much of the Upper Peninsula, Lower Peninsula, and maybe even portions of Northeast Ohio. As we get into Monday morning, you can see the snow does still continue across portions of western and northern Michigan. So far-reaching, this pattern is going to be taking place with very cold air and this snow that is going to be ongoing with it. Now let's talk snow accumulations. Okay, so as we get into Sunday, here's the projected snow accumulations by Sunday 7 a.m. You can see that it's just starting to begin across portions of western Michigan. Upper Peninsula, you have been very much graciously blessed with feet of snow in the past couple of, this season. And that's going to continue for you with an additional accumulations well over 6 inches in the Upper Peninsula. Copper Harbor, you can see, also going to be getting that good brunt of snow up there. And as you go down to western Michigan, you can see that we are going to start to begin to see that snowfall. As we press forward, you can see that the bands begin to become more heavy, and by the time we get to Monday morning, 7 a.m., you can kind of see where there's potential for more focused bands to develop. Now again, lake effect is very, very hard to predict, okay? Because again, with every model run, there's a change in the exact location and placement of heavy snow. So really the best time to go and check out where those snow accumulations have occurred best is in actual observations up from the ground. So we have radar imagery that can help us depict where that's going to happen, and then we can go and check out how much snow actually accumulated in those places where the best quantitative precipitation has fallen. But you can see by Monday morning, you even have some places that are exceeding feet of snow across western UP and also Grand Marais area. So it's going to be a pretty wide-ranging snow event across Michigan. And then Ohio, yes, we'll get a little bit of snow, but again, the winds are not going to be set up just right for that. Really, the places that are going to be dealing with that snow are on the eastern side, like New York with Buffalo, and then areas along the east side of Lake Ontario. That's going to get a lot of snow. It's going to be a pretty intense setup for lake effect snow over there. Again, going back to the Euro model, which also follows suit a little bit with the potential. You can see the lake effect snow ongoing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, progressing forward. Nothing, as we get into Thursday, you can see the lake effect snow sort of tapers off. We're starting to see that wind change. We still got cold air all around us, but that wind change is going to lighten up, and it's going to still bring a little bit of potential for some scattered lake effect snow showers, but we will see a little bit of calm while still seeing cold. Maybe see some sunshine, and if this M7 flare off the sun produces CME, if there's sunshine, I would love to see some northern lights once again over the snow. I mean, that's a bucket list item. I don't know if that's for you guys too. But snow accumulation projection for the Euro model, somewhat similar to the GFS, except it's not as well defined. The ARRR does a better job with that because it's high resolution. Up here in the Upper Peninsula, you can see still places right on that northern lakeshore seeing a lot of snow, and then along our western lakeshores in Michigan, also seeing quite a bit of snow. And even southeastern Michigan might get an inch or two. I know you guys have really been missing out, and I feel sorry for you there because it's great. But I don't think, as long as there's a little bit of snow with that cold, that's what you want, right? And I think that's what you're going to get. So that's going to be a good thing. But overall, this is going to be probably the biggest winter event we have this year in terms of cold. Not really sure in terms of winter storms. There's still looking to be an active weather pattern as we approach the late January, early February timeframe. But we will keep you updated on that as it goes. Make sure to subscribe and stay updated. Next week, check us out. We might be out chasing, not probably during the extreme freezing cold, but we will be out there maybe looking at the lakeshore, seeing exactly what has gone on. Maybe an opportunity to see that. I would love to do it. So, appreciate you guys supporting and tagging along. There's some things coming for the spring storm chasing season. I'm sure you saw some of the hype reels that I put out. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to this season and looking forward to this year. It's a pleasure doing it alongside all of you. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you all later.